Philadelphia 76ers may have two of the brightest young stars on their roster in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, yet they were bounced early in the playoffs out in the first round. Their coach, Brett Brown, was let go, and now, according to Woj, Philly brass met with Doc Rivers Wednesday night to discuss the head coaching position. Doc and the Clippers agreed to part ways last week. Max Kellerman. Are the Sixers a small or a big fix for this new head coach, whoever takes over?
They could be a small fix. Let's not forget for a second, okay, that a couple of years ago, not this playoffs, but the previous playoff season, like within the last 18 months, the Sixers came one miracle shot from Kawhi, which bounced around 3 times before it went in, away from advancing. And I really think when you think about what the competition would have been, they could have won the championship last year. Like, there's a real good chance they could have been crowned NBA kings last year, considering the injuries to the Warriors and the fact that only the Bucks would have been in front of them. And the Sixers actually match up with the Bucks pretty well, especially a couple of years ago. So, that doesn't require a major blow-up. Now, I know I've been arguing that I think you need to choose between Embiid and Simmons based on their age before Simmons' catastrophic injury. I'd have gone with Simmons and get what you can for the other guy because they don't get along. But someone like Doc Rivers, for example, who could really help in that regard, or you would think that would be his main job, getting that chemistry right. When you start to look at the talent on the team, what are our real beefs? That Horford doesn't play well next to Simmons, but that certainly gives you 48 minutes of rim protection, back to the basket play if you need it, just elite kind of big man play between the two of them, even if they're not on the court together very much. A guy like Thibault, who is excellent, by the way, as a rookie defensively, also shot the 3 better, I think, than people realize, is real talent. You're not even paying him yet. Tobias Harris. See, we focus on Horford and Harris and the contracts. They're bad contracts, I get it. And Tobias Harris isn't a defender, but he can play offense. You know, he's not a great offensive player, but he's a good one. And so what people do with the Sixers is focus on everything that's wrong, right? Because certain guys are overpaid and there's not a lot of cap flexibility and there have been some chemistry issues. But if you forget about the money and all that stuff and just look at the roster, they could use a little more shooting, right? Okay. And if they get a little more shooting, are they title contenders? I think so. So whatever you think the optimal plan is, take a team and say add some shooting and they can contend for a title? That doesn't sound like a major overhaul to me. That sounds like a tweak.
It's a big fix, and it has nothing to do with a major overhaul. It's what you have to do with the pieces that are already there. The fact of the matter is that the cornerstones of your franchise are going to be Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Somebody's got to get Ben Simmons to get some kind of a perimeter shot. You got to work with this man. You got to make sure that it's a priority for him, not only to develop it, but to actually utilize it come game time over the course of an 82-game schedule. That is a very big deal. That's number one. Number two, get Joel Embiid's big butt down the post. You're a man. What are you, 7'1", 270 pounds, launching threes all the damn time for? Or mid-range jump shots? Play with your back to the basket, drop step with that exceptional footwork of yours, and be the man amongst boys that you are. That's a big ask. It's a big fix. It's not something that they can't do, or at least in the case of Joel Embiid, that he can't do. But you got to get him to do it. It matters. And, of course, getting them those shooters as well. And also developing a culture where Jimmy Butler doesn't want to leave for South Beach, even though I can't imagine somebody wanting to choose Philly over South Beach, even though Philly's a great sports town. But South Beach is South Beach, and I do understand. But you got to find somebody that's going to create a culture and an environment that guys would want to be in. You got to have the kind of cachet with management that they don't let J.J. Redick walk away when you know that you were knocking on the door of an Eastern Conference Finals just a year earlier when you had both Butler and J.J. Redick to go along with Simmons and Embiid and Tobias Harris, et cetera, et cetera. These are the kind of things that can happen. So when I say a big fix, I'm not talking about an overhaul. I'm not talking about, changing the whole roster or anything like that. I'm talking about the parts that you have in place. Yeah, you can add a shooter here and there, no question. But the parts that you have in place, getting them to do their damn job. It's a big deal because if Ben Simmons, if you get him to be a bit more offensive-minded, we know what he can do defensively. We know his ball handling skills, his passing ability, his basketball IQ. But if you can get him to be more assertive offensively and more productive effective. And you get Joel Embiid in the post, reminding everybody that the Greek Freak just might not be the best big man in this league. It might be me. If you can do those two things, which is a tall order, not a short order, obviously you're going in the right direction. But those are not small things, they are big things. It just doesn't involve wholesale changes on a roster.
Well, in the Eastern Conference anyway, I think in the league, considering what we just saw in the playoffs, I'm going with Jokic now as the best big in basketball. But what you're talking
Skilled
about,
offensive
Stephen A,
player, Matt.
has not
he
yet
doesn't
been
play
achieved.
defense like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. What you're talking about is, look, these things that may look simple have not yet been achieved. Hey, Ben Simmons, at least shoot the ball. Just shoot it so people know there's the threat of a shot if you're wide open. Hey, Embiid, get down to the post more than you've been doing, right? So they haven't been achieved there so far. So you're inferring from that they must be difficult to do. But you've also said that they had the wrong guy as coach, Brett Brown, good coach.
Because he couldn't get him to do that.
Not good enough to. Okay, but that means he had a problem with it. It doesn't mean the next guy will. And to me, Ben Simmons, working on his shot, simply needs to shoot the ball during the game. And because it hasn't been done so far does not mean that's like a difficult thing necessarily. He just hasn't done it so far. And Embiid getting down to the post, also, he's done it at times. Get him to do it more. To me, those are little things. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.